The next person, Samantha Clayton. If you attended her was it Fit 360? Correct me if I'm wrong on that. I'm trying to remember all the workshop names here, but Samantha, a packed workshop. Even her work that she does with Herbalife, athlete, Olympian, a lot of great stuff, and that she's going to share all that kind of stuff. If you've been to her Instagram, you see that she's very popular, and she's for a good reason. She's got good stuff to share with everybody. Samantha, go ahead and say hello.
Hey everyone, so good to be back here this Friday. Happy Friday. And look
there we go. Cut off at the end there.
I totally did not mean to mute myself while speaking, but hey, happy Friday. I have not been drinking yet on this Friday, but I look forward to our conversation for sure. Thanks for the intro, Taylor.
Of course. And then Jacquese, where's Jacquese? I lost her on here. But when we're talking about a local market, somebody that hustles, she grinds it out, and she made some great adjustments when the pandemic hit. Jacquese has a great background with working within a local market, being able to grow a business, first a brick and mortar, and then also when she moved on to online. So she's going to share a lot of great stuff with that. Jacquese, go ahead and say hello.
Hello, you guys, and thank you so much for being here and hanging with us. And Tyler, thank you for putting this together. And yay, FitnessFest and Mindy Mylrea. These are the people that got me started. So we'll talk later.
Awesome. So we're going to kick this off with our first question. Okay, so Mindy's going to kick it off with Mindy, when you started your brand, what made you choose the audience you market toward? Were there any discussions on being global versus local?
Good question, Tyler. Starting my brand. Well, I've been in the fitness industry for years and years and years. I consider myself a fitness fossil. I've been in here for so long, and I was struggling early on in my just thought process of what I want to do. I actually applied to clown college when I was looking at colleges to go to, and I was in acting school actually in New York City, and on the side I taught fitness, but fitness wasn't a thing back then. I went into this health club. It was a racquetball court actually, and I said to them, "You guys need aerobics," and they said, "What's aerobics?" I said, "Just give me a boombox, give me one of your racquetball courts, and I will teach." Well, within 1 week, I had packed a 6 a.m., a noon, a 5, and a 6 at night. I was the only person in the area that was teaching aerobics. Wow. And I was making $5 a class. It was awesome. I became the Bay Area's strongest female. Lots of people wrote articles about me. It was kind of funny because there was nothing and I created something. So I think when I created I haven't really created a brand for myself. What I did was I looked out in the horizon and noted what needed to happen and noted what wasn't there yet and thought, you know what, I think I can do that. Like for the first time that I taught at the IDEA conference, after it was a Spalding sport rope. I was doing a jumping rope class, and I had just won the World Aerobic Championship, and the people at IDEA came to me and said, "What else do you do? We would like to book you again at our next show." And I said, "Well, what do you need?" And so I think that's been my whole thing. It's branding me as someone that is always eyes open, and what is out there that has not been tapped into yet, not following a trend, but creating a trend. So for example, 10 years ago, my husband and I, we were in the industry for so long, and we popped into classes here and there and everywhere, and noticed that no one was talking about plant-based nutrition, which that is our passion and our focus. And we decided to really jump into that realm from the fitness industry perspective. So my branding has actually evolved through the years. I created the gliding discs because I noticed that the slide was great, but it had limitations, and I wanted to create something that was different and unique. So I think my branding is really creating and being very different and not being afraid to be different. Right now I live in an RV that's covered with fruits and vegetables. I wrote a book called The Plant powered. Oh, Tyler, could you spotlight me if you could, please?
I believe you,
I don't think
Maggie.
I am.
I
Maggie, get
will.
on it.
Mindy? Oh,
Yeah. So, right, we were watching Tyler watch me.
there.
So here I am. So this is my book, The Plant-Powered Penis. So I think most people would hem and haw at that title, but you know what? I gotta be edgy. I gotta be uh, different, and I think that's what sets you apart. I think your branding sets you apart when you are authentic and unique to your mission and your passion, and not afraid that you're going to. I don't want to say offend, but I want to say stay true to your own values. So I
Mhm.
live in a fruit and vegetable covered RV, traveling all over North America. I wrote the book, The Plant Powered Penis, and I'll say penis, you know, till the cows come home and back again. And I think that's what I would suggest to anybody that's looking to launch their career. Look where things are not going. You know, look where you can find your own niche where it is needed. Like I really wanted to always write a book, but I never did because I never had a reason to. You know, I never wanted to live in an RV until I had a reason to. So it
Mhm.
really is coming from your heart, coming from your soul and your passion that you find your brand. I don't
Yeah.
think you can create your brand. I think your brand comes to you. I think your brand is you. And
Mhm.
when you are honest, then your brand speaks for itself.
I like it. I like it a lot. Jacquese, can you chime in on it?
I can. So as far as the brand, what Mindy just said kind of sparked something. It does change over time. And when you talked about the niche market, how did I find my people or where did I go? It really started with a whim. What happened is I've always taught aerobics. So I started in the early 90s and it was a side gig. It was just for fun. And I loved it. And in 2014, I got more serious into saying, hey, I think I want to quit this day job and do something different. And I started getting a little more serious about teaching health and fitness, the bigger picture. And then I went to Fitness Fest. And, you know, so all of this has been in the back of my mind. And actually, over the years, in the course of me raising a family, you know, you have these different seasons in life, raising a family, and I had these great jobs. You know, I wrote a book, I had great jobs. This exercise thing was always something I just had to have in my life because it gave me a lot of value with what I was doing, gave me energy to do what I was doing. And when I attended Fitness Fest, so I've always loved fitness, don't forget that. When I attended Fitness Fest and I decided to become Tabata Boot Camp trained by Mindy Mylrea, it's her program, it was a turnkey operation. This, you guys, this is like, I can feel it right now as I'm in this training with Roseanne. I am going, wow, I can start this right now. I don't have to wait. So I wasn't really thinking of who is my market. It's me starting, I'm going to do this. I was up and running a month and a half later, and I went to a very untraditional route. I decided to sublease because that was where the opportunity was in a fast way, because I was thinking I was still going to have my day job. And at that time was a supervisory educator. And I quit that job, by the way. I never went back. And from there, I started in this karate studio, not a prime place at all. You guys, it was just a godsend. People kept coming, kept coming. I had a little tiny room on Monday. I had a little 7 o'clock at this time. I mean, the time was not good. Nothing was good about it, but the people kept coming. And then I had to think outside of the box. How do I keep this going for longevity? And so now I'm beginning to think more, who's my customer base? And my customer base were people like me, people who work, people who had children. I remember that season where I had to work out. I wanted people just like that because that gave me life over the course of my life. And then I got a little untraditional because there's gyms everywhere in Arizona. There's a lot of boutiques everywhere. I also was looking at a cost issue. So I decided to be untraditional and go inside of a mall. So I was kind of a trendsetter there because that was at the beginning where, you know, malls have been dying out a little bit. And so I did it before it was kind of popular because it became a little more of a trend later. And I was in a little tiny strip mall with this big, big, beautiful room, 4,900 square feet. And that's where I got more focused because I said, this is something I want to create sustainability with. And then I just started branching out and I got more inundated in so many other things related to fitness. So it did not just become just my classes and personal training anymore, my scope broadened tremendously. And, you know, I then became a master trainer for Mindy, then I became a master trainer for someone else. And then I had my hand over here and a little bit on the wellness side. So many things. Mindy even came to me with her big RV. She came to my old location in that little strip mall. That was an optimal place again. I mean, it was so untraditional. It did not look like your average club, but yet I was still in the game. I was in the game because I did get narrowed in with who my people were. And my people were kind of like me, middle-aged women. And of course, I do have some outliers, but the majority of my people are people like me who had children, who are middle-aged, who have these other things going on, but who need this. Because you know how we're needed. This is an industry that is needed. And I saw that, and I just kept honing in on different aspects of that versus one small section, which was the exercise part. It's so much bigger than exercise, as you know. And so that's how I kind of narrowed out. I just started going after people and marketing to people who are like me. I
dig it. I dig it a lot. Samantha, can you chime in on your brand, but also I'll say the global versus local thing that's part of the question?
Yes, I would love to jump in. Great answers. Mindy and Jacquese are just both incredible, inspirational in the fitness industry. Both of you, Jacquese, have personally taken your classes and kicked my butt. That was a great, just amazing trainer, so inspirational, and just carries a lot more than fitness into her work. So with me, you know, I'm very much connected with a global brand. However, I'll just kind of, I'll answer the question from two angles. One being my personal brand, and two being a major brand that I have then connected with and represent on behalf of them. So when it comes to my personal brand, I kind of realize that you evolve with time, and I think Jacquese touched on this quite a lot. My training and my brand has evolved along with me, and so starting out as a one-on-one personal trainer, really going after that athlete crowd, you know, Olympic athlete. Perfect. I want the athletes in their off season that want to train with somebody to work on speed, and then from there, you know, as I became a mom of four, I realized the personal space that I'm in and the people that I'm around is no longer that athlete crowd. And therefore, does my brand resonate with an athlete in the same way it did when I was an athlete? No, it does not. My brand now resonates more with the average everyday person looking to get in shape. So I think having an open mind to know that you can't ever pigeonhole yourself. You have to continue to evolve with the phase of life that you're in. So transitioning now to where I am today, I'm just very lucky that Herbalife gave me a really great platform to continue my purpose. So my purpose has never changed through fitness. My purpose is to impact people's lives in a positive way through movement. So whether I was training athletes, whether I'm training the mom, whether I'm volunteering in schools, my personal purpose has always remained the same. So my purpose remains the same at Herbalife, but now I represent them on a global scale. 64 countries I've traveled to. And so as I go into each of those markets, I stay true to my purpose, but also connect with our brand's purpose and mission, which one of the things I would say to people, if you do partner with any form of brand, that brand has to resonate with what you believe in as a person. They can't be polar opposite. And so I'm very lucky that my desire to have purpose, to help people live a healthy, active lifestyle is the exact same mission statement of the company that I'm now part of their brand on. So I think a lot of it comes down to authenticity, staying true to who you are on your journey as you evolve, but also positioning yourself. If you want to partner, if you want to become global, I do believe the best way to do it is by partnering with other brands or charities. It gives you an instant platform on a greater scale than what you can kind of jump to alone. I think if you go the route alone now, you know, we have access to social media. We can do that. You know, social media has given us the window to the world. But I do believe if you partner, whether it's with a charity group, whether it's with a large corporation, corporations need people like us. They need trainers with passion, with skill set to help them. And so that would kind of be my insight into that, is that your brand is supposed to evolve as you evolve as a trainer. I started off direct one-on-one personal training, athlete to athlete. Now I feel like I fit more into the wellness space. and my education through FitnessFest, through NASM, through all the different things that I've connected with, my education evolved along with my brand. So now that I sit in the wellness space, I got a new degree, public health. That's what I'm focused in now, because I think that if you want to evolve, you want to be global and you want to be noticed, your education has to match your experience and your skill set. So it's just a constant journey of evolving. So that's my 50 cents on that topic.
It's a good one. It's a very good one. And even though I'm the host for this, I'm just going to share just a tad with my viewpoint on this. And really, it's been hammered already by everybody. Such great feedback already. And I will say that with the new company I started, the ability to adapt, and that's something that everybody has already shared, the ability to adapt. And I'll share something that I think it's kind of shocking, is that I have never written a business plan in my life. If I look at the businesses that I've started, by now I've started, I think, 4 or 5 different businesses. And if I was to take the ideas that I had from the beginning and think about a week after, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 3 months after that, and if I was to think about the original plan, there's no way it would have been close. The way that the industry evolves, the way that you evolve, as you acquire more information, it changes. So your ability to adapt, read the situation, all those things are so important as you're trying to brand yourself, you're trying to build a business, or even just be a personal trainer within a gym. All those things start to change. So let's get into the next question here. We're going to start with Jacquese. What types of resources do you recommend for fitness professionals who want to brand themselves and or start a company? For example, what about finding information about a business name, creating a logo, all the stuff that kind of you went through in that process?
Well, I very much participated in a lot of different conferences and education. So what Samantha was saying about staying educated, staying in the know and evolving with that, you have to make sure you do know the business rules. You can't pigeonhole yourself in one aspect of business. So you do have to go to people that have gone before that have fruit. I do like to say that you must have a mentor and someone that somewhat has the same vision that you have or something similar. It doesn't have to be the same because we learn from different, but someone or organizations that will plug you into all of the aspects of owning a business, getting a business name. How do you go about finding a location? What are the trends on what real estate costs? These are small things. If you're going online only, do you understand where to go for the right equipment? So I think it's really for me, my personal experience was through fitness conferences, getting mentors, and a lot of reading, and a lot of continuing education. So I looked at different aspects. Where do I want to go? Because I know about wellness. It's total health. It's about mental health, physical, spiritual, all of it. So I had to be educated on all aspects of that in order to bring that to the table, in order to speak to it and feel as if I was a professional at it. So there's no one place to go, but you do have to have some idea of where you want to go, so then you can gain the right perspective from the right people. And again, I say this very big time, that you want to go where someone's bearing fruit. And, I tell you what I've experienced are so many wonderful people helping me through this situation, helping me. I did not do any of this alone. And, I'm all about community. When you said, Samantha, when you were saying you have this one idea, my big idea is to bring life to people. Every single job I've had, it's all about bringing life to what we do. So you do have to connect to people that make sense to what you're trying to accomplish. And they have to bear fruit. They can't just be people that like to do it. Have to be people that are laid the path. We're flowers in bloom. I call myself a flower in bloom because I get a lot of tenets and inspiration from people that have gone before me, from people that have been inspired and they've risen because of their innovativeness, because of thinking outside of the box. Mindy, you said that all the time, get outside the box. What do people need? You got to keep those things in mind. So you have to go to those resources that have some kind of like-minded thinking, if that makes sense. That's a pretty broad answer, but there is no one answer for that. Because
that's a good one.
We want to go to experts, to people we look up to. So thank you.
Good answer. Very good answer. Samantha?
Perfect. I would just love to jump in on that. She's right. You know, I think we all need mentors to help us along the way, and looking to your local community is key. The Chamber of Commerce, I think, is one of the most underrated places where you can go for free help ever, because there's a lot of, you know, you have the local experts in there. But I've actually found one of the greatest ways when it comes to starting a business and wanting to have the help from people is local universities, and also working with local big chapters of local charities. So think Boys and Girls Club, YMCA. They're two places that I've personally volunteered at. Who else volunteers at these places? Lawyers, business people. When you think about connecting, I'm the sort of person, I've always wanted to give back. I love giving back, but in doing so, when you're giving back, you're making and connecting your network of people. When you give back and you're volunteering, you're connecting yourself with other people who want to give and give back. And so often you'll meet good lawyers that'll give you free legal advice. You'll meet people that are in business who have started businesses. So, you know, volunteering, I think, is key. Trying to get on the boards of these places as well. People for Parks here in LA, they work in the inner city to, you know, get kids active, get kids moving. And through that board membership, which, you know, you're volunteering your time. That's the payment that you're giving, is to volunteer time. But I met so many people that were connected in the city, at the city level, that can give you free advice on city regulations. And so I think to everybody, if you're wanting to start, especially if you're wanting to start a business that's in your local area, connecting through charity work is really key. Connecting through your local Chamber of Commerce, because surrounding yourself with other people who are wanting to do what you do, which is give back, you'll find that they'll want to give back to you and mentor you and point you in the right direction. So I've managed to make a lot of great business connections through giving back and doing that work. So, you know, I think that's a really great way to connect into your community.
Yeah, really great angle there. And one that I was hoping was actually mentioned today. I know that that's really big for businesses. Mindy, why don't you chime in on this?
Okay.
There
I
you
love
go.
both of what was said already, but I'm going to really dive into brass tacks. Okay. The first thing is trade. You have such a gift to give, and people want your services. So early on, when I had absolutely no money at all, well, I don't know how much that's changed. However, I traded everything. I would coach people for them doing services for me. We just in-kind trade. I actually led a boot camp one time, and I said, I don't want any payment. I just want you all to just pay me something that you think is worthy of being in my boot camp. So I got I got so many really cool things. It was so neat. I also advocate giving your services away to a point, not all the time, but when I launched Tabata Bootcamp, before I launched it in the fitness industry, I went online every week and I had a Tabata workout on Facebook and on social media, and I gave everything away. So the people knew me, and this goes back to the brand too. They knew me before I even launched Tabata Bootcamp as the Tabata gal. A lot of people said, oh, you're the one that created Tabata. And of course, I said, no. However, I created Tabata Bootcamp. But that is giving yourself away. You will get so much in return. And that, Samantha talked about that, is donate your services for sure. The other thing is know your stuff. Know your stuff inside, outside, backwards, forwards, and then other people will want to support you if you are an authority of what you are talking about. So for example, Bruce and I, this is what we give away. So this is brass tacks. So I go to Vistaprint, I have these made up. This is our business card, okay? Look at how big it is. If you just give a little business card to somebody, it's gonna go in their pocket, they're gonna forget about it. Somebody gets this thing, they're like, well, what do I do with, okay, I'll keep it, right? On the back are all of our educational partners. This means that these people that are so well known in the wellness community are our partners. This is a big deal. So when you can have people validate what you do, it ups your game. When you can validate what they do. So we are on Physicians Committee podcast. We're good friends with Michael Greger, who he has now endorsed our books. I mean, we've got all of these people who are going to support us because we support them. It is an in-kind relationship for sure. The other thing that I say to many people who I'm mentoring is try not to use your own money. I know that's really hard. So I go to Vistaprint for all my stuff. You know, that's really inexpensive and it looks pretty darn great, right? That's very inexpensive to do. Trade for in-kind services, but also try to find some people that look at you and say, that person is doing something different. I want to support that person. So for example, we have a donation button on our website because we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization. So we get donations and we also are affiliated with companies that will support our work financially, which is fantastic. So I don't have to be thinking, oh, I got to make this money. Oh, I got to make this money. What I'm doing is I'm focused on doing the good work, doing what needs to be done by giving things away freely, by offering up my services, by being relevant in the industry, by knowing my stuff, by being supported by other luminaries in the industry. And all of that weaves together to create this synergistic effect that you will be then relevant. And it really is being relevant. So those are just little tips of mine. Just to wrap it up, know your stuff, trade your services, validate with other people, give your services away for free as much as you can. And then if you can use other people's money instead of your own, you won't be so stressed out.
Good stuff. I honestly would have expected the P word to be dropped a couple more times, but we'll just move on from there.
And love penises, love penises.
But I will say all those are good, really phenomenal things. And one of the
Tyler,
items.
can I jump on what you just said? Okay,
about the
so
P
what
word?
you just said the P word. So here it is. So this is my book again. So here's the deal. I went to every resource I possibly could imagine in writing this book. There is so many references of research studies and articles and other people's quotes and everything. That's why I got Neil Bernard and John McDougall and Chef AJ and Donald Abrams and Ocean Robbins to support and give me credentials on the book because I know my stuff. And that's really important. You have to know your base. You gotta formulate what the base is going to be. That's your mission. And then you've got to build on that base with knowledge and information and unbiased information. And the other thing too is Bruce and I don't sell anything. We don't sell supplements. We don't sell food. We don't sell anything like that because once you do, your message is skewed. And you've got to be very careful when you're supporting something by research and by education. You have to, especially if you're a nonprofit, especially.
Yeah, good stuff right there. The one that I wanted to throw in there is, and if you've seen some of my lectures, is YouTube. I've lectured on YouTube a ton, and I watch a good amount of YouTube. And I will say that the first website that I built after I left NCCPT was the one for KIPS. And what I honestly did was I followed it was a 16-part series on building a WordPress website with an LMS, a learning management system. So YouTube is a great resource. Any of the items that are for a digital business that you're interested, or even just, I'll say Facebook marketing, all that kind of stuff, you could find on YouTube. There's really anything on there that you want to find, it's on there. And there's probably thousands of videos about that topic. I really recommend it to anybody. It's a great part of a business too. If you follow KIPS on YouTube, you'll see that I make a lot of tutorials for free. If you've seen any of my other lectures about doing streaming workouts or even about YouTube, you'll see that all those items are already there. So check it out. If you're not a fan already, go to YouTube, go there daily, learn. Really good stuff there. So let's go to the next question here. Question 3. What type of research do you perform on your audience to better understand how to sell your services, products? Really big one right here. And we're going to start this one with Samantha.
Yeah, I think research is totally key in everything that you're doing, especially when it comes to who you're speaking to. For me, I feel like ACSM comes out with really good insights each year. So a lot of the different certifying agencies, ideas, they have their booklet that comes out every year where it kind of gives you insight into what's trending, where it's trending, what you need to look out for. I'll be honest, at this point in my career, I'm a little bit spoiled because I work for a corporation and we have an insights division. So I knock on their door and we'll ask them specific questions about, a specific country I'm going into, who it is I'm going to be speaking to, what's the level of education of people that I'm speaking to, so I know what level to come in at. And so I do that pretty much for everywhere I'm going to speak at a conference. I want to know who's attending, what's their base level, because then you can go in with the right messaging. But I think just kind of like you just shared, Tyler, there's so much we can learn now online. But I think as fitness professionals, we all have to do our research and understand the different segments. And so luckily, I feel that over the last 6 months, a lot of different companies in the industry have been putting on seminars to explain just that. I was part of one the other day for a company called CRN, the Council for Responsible Nutrition, and they delve deep into the numbers of who's buying supplements, what type of supplements are they buying, and they really delve into detail on the millennial audience, the Gen X, the Gen Z. And so I just think that we should all, as professionals, think about, okay, who is it that I'm working with? What are their interests? What do I need to know? And then look for big companies that are big in that space and look at the research that they're doing. Because I think as individuals like ourselves, we know that doing formal research costs money, but we can jump in and learn from the research being done by the Nikes, by the Gatorade, by Adidas, because they often publish their results that they have. And you can find that by just researching online and looking at those academic papers that those companies are making sure that they put out there. So I would just encourage people, whatever space it is that you're zoning in on, you want to look at who is the big fish in that pond and what is the information that they're putting out. And chances are that company is putting out legitimate research and they're collecting those insights and you can kind of pull from them. So Of course, relying online, going to your conferences, but also finding those academic papers that are published on millennials. What are millennials thinking? What are they doing? I think that's probably the best way to go about it, is find the big fish in the pond that you're trying to swim in and take that information from them and synthesize it for your personal needs.
Good point. And I got to say this before we go to our next guest with this, but some of the most informational lectures that I've attended and had to attend for a conference were on Gen Z, learning about Gen Z, how they learn, how they like to acquire information and those types of items, because these are things that I didn't know. And when you look at the different generations, how they acquire information and how they like to be talked to, all those types of things, you really start to open up your, your mind to how can I change my marketing just a little bit for this specific generation. So really good stuff right there. I really like that answer a lot. Mindy, can you chime in on this?
Yes, thank you. And I love what Jackie said earlier, is she really has honed in on who her audience is. Our audience is not everyone. So you can do your research until the cows come home and back again about all the different generations. You're not going to resonate with each generation. I am 59 now, and yes, I can kick 20-year-olds' ass in a workout, but are they going to necessarily follow me? Probably not. So it depends on who my audience is. And I'm really going to spend my energy and effort on knowing my lane and then researching where I should be for them, right? Not how can I get the 20-year-olds? How can I get the 30-year-olds? How can I get the 40? How can I get the 100-year-olds? I'm not going to. And then what happens is you dilute your brand by going after everyone. Also, when I teach at a conference or when I'm online doing something online, I always start out my presentation with letting my students or my attendees know exactly what I'm going to deliver. And then I deliver exactly that. So their expectations are in check. Everybody comes in to either your personal training session or your group exercise class or whatever it is with an expectation, with a preconceived notion of what's going to happen and what the outcome's going to be. You need to, right off the get-go, focus in on what the reality is of what is going to be happening with the information that they're going to be receiving. But I would say, yes, research absolutely who's in front of you, but know that we can spend our energy better knowing who our audience is, not trying to appeal to everyone. If we do, then we're not true to ourselves at all. I mean, I'll give you another example. I really wanted to bring kickboxing into the fitness industry. And Jackie, you do this so well. So here I am. I don't know anything about kickboxing, but they were just doing boxing. They weren't doing kicking. And I thought, you know what? I want to bring in the kicking. This is way back when, right? So I met with a kickboxer. I learned just enough to get by. Well, I went in and taught my first conference event. And right after that, guess who came into the arena? Actual kickboxers. And so I'm out of there. I'm out of their stage left, on to the next thing, because I mean, I've opened the door. Now the real deal comes in. I know my lane. There's no way I could compete. Like, I can't compete with Jackie. No freaking way. I'm putting my hands up in the air. I can't kick like her. So I'm out. I'm on to the next thing. And that's great. Open the door, know your lane, know your audience, learn everything you can about them, and keep your energy focused. And that's what I'll say.
Good stuff. Good stuff. And before Jacquese answers, she knows that it's a small joke to kind of break things up, but whenever somebody says Jackie, I'm always like, did somebody else come into this? And this is, as she said, this is the first time I met her. I was like, do you like Jackie or Jacquese? I was so confused. But the small joke, Jacquese, please give your answer now.
Thank you. That is a funny joke. So you guys, the research, I love that. And expectation, those are my two favorite words, because that is exactly where I go. So when I say research, I actually subscribe to a lot of fitness magazines, and I actually put on my schedule during the week that I must read something every week. And I try every day, but that's not realistic, I'll be honest. So once a week, I have a stack, you guys, it's right on my desk, of things that I have to read. And that is to stay in the know on what's happening in our industry, to know who's up and coming, to know what they're doing. And again, it's almost so I can think outside of the box. So it's helping me get an edge on being a little bit different. So going back to Mindy's point, knowing your audience, that is so key, because I remember when I did first start out, I'm like, oh, I have everybody. Then I realized, no, I don't. And I'm not going to appeal to that 20-year-old. Although I feel like I'm 20, I do feel like it. I know that they really, truly aren't going to follow me. And the people that follow me are kind of people like me. Like I was saying earlier, I know who my audience is. You have to know your audience. You can't have this audience and this audience and this audience, and then think you're going to get the market share or get more people to follow you or get that where you want to be in this, in this professional field. So you have to know that audience and research what's happening out in our industry. Be in the know. Again, fitness conferences. Again, knowing exactly how you want to go about this. When I say that, I mean, so let's say I want to create a certain type of class. I need to be an expert. Mindy mentioned that. You have to be an expert in this. So how do I go about being an expert? I have to know where to go to get that information to become an expert. So, of course, I'm plugged into all the professional certifications out there. And universities, they have things on their class schedules that may relate to me going to that next level or getting that information, that research that I need to keep my base and keep my base going strong. So you have to know what your audience wants. And then I try to give a little bit more. So I see someone maybe who I really look up to and like, okay, that's great. How can I go do something a little more edgy or different that they might not be doing? because you want to be authentic. I love that word because I'm always using it. So I'm glad you guys keep saying that, because you have to be true to yourself and authentic in exactly who you are, and knowing who your people are, because they're going to follow you. They're going to find you. And I have found that people are going to knock, the right people are going to knock on your door because they do recognize what your brand is. And you do all that through research, through this attendance. I think all of this is coming full circle, because I think all of this kind of goes back together with your questions. So great questions that you put together, because it does come full circle with regard to the components that you need to be an expert in what you're doing, and to continue loving it and giving to the community.
Yeah.
That's what we do in this field. We are a community of people who want to help our communities. That's what it really is all about. It's about people. So research,
I dig
education,
it.
fun. Okay, my time is up. Go, Tyler.
Tyler, if I can just to jump in so on something, what was shared by both there that I think is really great is that, speaking to your audience is obviously key, but for any of the trainers that are on here who maybe haven't decided who their audience is yet, maybe you don't quite know, who do I speak to? Who do I resonate with? I would encourage people to look at the major global mega trends that are happening, to know where the industry is going and kind of beat other people there. So when you think about what's happening in the world, global obesity is on the rise, childhood obesity is huge. Aging, there's an aging population, so the population is getting older. So there's two distinct categories that are really open right now. We have, the obese population. Obesity is trending and overweight globally. You have the aging population. So if you don't quite know where you fit in right now, if maybe you're on the beginning of your fitness journey, the industry is going to a place where that people are getting older and they want to age more healthily. People are losing weight and need to lose weight. So if you're looking to decide which direction you want to go in, I would tend to push your direction in the direction of where the people are going. People are getting more obese, gaining more weight, and people are getting older. So they're probably going to be two areas of our market that are going to grow over the next few years. And in addition to that, one other marketplace where I think is huge is, online gaming is getting really big. You guys see all the big major brands getting behind that. And with that comes sedentary lifestyle of teenagers. So I think that they're going to really need us to focus in the teenage space to get them moving. So you think you've got three distinct buckets there that you could throw yourself into. Because the world is moving in that direction. So you could, if you haven't decided of what you think that you resonate with yet, kind of investigate in those buckets and see if you think that audience would resonate with you.
Good answer. And I will say that that's an audience I've been thinking about for years. I don't know what that says, but I've been thinking about that one for years. And just as a resource, just to kind of throw in there, if you're starting to market, and I will honestly tell people that Facebook marketing it's changed a lot in just the 4 years that I've been running my business and my new business, and just that time period, having to learn how it's changed. But it's also gotten a lot more resourceful. And on there, you could see a lot of good information about your demographics. You could research your competitors. So you just got to, I would say, go to YouTube, watch some videos on how to find those answers out. And you could find really detailed information on your demo, who's looking at your stuff, all that kind of stuff that helps you ultimately save money in the long run, so that you're not wasting hundreds of thousands of dollars on marketing when you could hone in on a certain demographic if that's who you want to market to. So I'm going to alter the next question just based off of time. So with that, we're going to talk about now the struggles. Everybody has a struggle with whether they're entering the industry or they're running their business. So if we can, guess if you could share one struggle you faced in starting your company. We're going to start with Jacquese.
Where did I struggle was with time, because when I started, I was planning on staying in my day job, and still, because I have my hands in so many different things, I still struggle with time. So saying that, you've got to have a plan every day. I have to have a plan. That's how I operate. I cannot go in blindly. So when you talk about struggles, you have to figure out how to juggle the things that you want to get involved in. I like to continue with my education. I'm in a class right now. I'm an innovator. I am someone who really does enjoy being busy, and that's what turns my life on. And with that comes busy time. And I have my family. I spend a lot of family time. I have a new puppy. So it's time. That is my thing. And I say that You have to stay true to what you're doing. You have to have focus on those goals that you want to accomplish, know what you want to accomplish, because time does get in my way. That's my biggest obstacle, is managing the time well, because just because we're busy does not mean we are being productive. So I will tell you, sometimes I'm doing busy things. I realize, hey, wait a minute, you're not going to get where you're going just being busy. You have to have that busyness, has to have productivity behind it and a goal and a purpose. So time, you guys, if that's one of your issues, got to sit down. You have to make a plan. Play time and work time. I have to have a balance. I do not believe in just working. And my work, though, is kind of play, right? And I always say that. It's like, I am kind of playing, because people say, you're so busy. It's like, but I'm having fun. So if you are having fun, make sure you're just managing your time, that you continue to have fun. Because if you are in this fitness realm, you've done this for a reason. You might have a passion. So if time gets in the way of making those dreams come to fruition, you got to sit back and figure out how to make them work. Because I believe that we can. I do it every day. And I'm
good answer.
pretty happy.
Very good answer. Samantha?
Yeah, I would just share that my biggest struggle, I think, especially jumping into the corporate world, is getting out of my athlete mentality of I can do everything by myself. I'm incredibly driven. I think it's an athlete curse. You're responsible for everything that you do, from the training you put in. There's a mentality, especially as a sprinter, very single-minded. You're in one lane. It's all about you. For me, it was understanding that anything that's built, that's going to be good and going to be powerful, can't be done by one person. You have to rely on other people. And so whether that's delegating, pulling people in, if you want to build something big, you cannot do it alone. It takes a lot of people, and embracing that it's just not a one-man show. It's not, you can't do it alone. You can't have the expertise in every single area to build a fitness brand, whether it's your own brand or build within the constructs of a company that already exists. You have to rely on so many different people. There's sales, there's marketing, there's communication. We're not, no one person can be a master of all those things. And so I think that was probably the biggest lesson for me, having been very self-reliant. I can do everything by myself. I was raised by a single mom who gave me that mentality. I had to soften, and now I'm the complete opposite. I pull people in and use other people's expertise and allow them to help me help us be better. And so I think that would be my biggest piece of advice, is you cannot do it alone. If you want to go big, you need to do it with others and let them help you. So that was my biggest challenge, but it's one I've overcome. And now I'm the opposite. Now I pull people in and I love it.
I love it. I love the answer. Mindy, go ahead and chime in.
I love those answers. And I'm gonna piggyback on Jackie's, because Tyler, you said at the very beginning of your career. So I'm looking way back. And many of you on the call probably have young children and a family, and everything for me was about guilt on my shoulders. When I was working, I was guilty that I wasn't playing with my children and giving time to my husband. When I was playing with my children and with my husband, I was feeling guilty that I wasn't working on my business. Then I looked at my husband, and I have a lecture on this. It's called Balance Challenge. And I looked at my husband, and my husband doesn't ever feel guilty about anything. He just goes about his business. And many men are like that because they know how to focus on one thing at a time. We women have been taught that we can multitask. We can do it all. We've got all these dishes in the air and we can juggle them all, and none are going to fall down. It's all good. The problem is that we do everything okay, but we don't do anything really, really well because we don't monofocus. So what I had to do is I had to look at my husband. I had to say, all right, I'm going to take a page out of your rule book, and I'm going to try to focus on one thing at a time, not to juggle everything. But when I'm playing, I'm playing. Like Jackie said, when I'm working, I'm working. Creating that balance between the two allowed me then to be really good at work, and then really good at parenting, at being a wife of 40 years. And people would ask me all the time when I went to conferences on the weekends, don't you miss your 3 children and your husband? And I said, no, I don't. You know why? I can't. I don't go there because I need to be completely 100% present now in the moment. They'll be there. they're there waiting for me, I know. And when I get home, then I will be completely 100% present for them. So I think this is an issue that women have, especially. Women feel guilty for something they're not doing while they're doing something else. And departmentalizing, and putting things on the shelf and letting them be while you're working on something else really will help us out. I mean, think about the orgasm. Women have such a hard time having an orgasm. It's because we're thinking about so many things. Oh, I'm here. No, I'm not. Oh, I'm here. No, I'm not. Men just have an orgasm. Woo, just like that. You know why? Because they're not focused on anything else, just the orgasm. And that's what I have to say about that. Have you seen my book?
I love it. I love it. And I have to say that a story that I recently told to Janice. And it
about
kind of,
your orgasms?
yes, that's what we talk about. But with and it ties into FitnessFest Virtual. So a story that I watched in a documentary about, I think it was about Bill Gates, and then he talked about Warren Buffett. And it was, I think Bill Gates' dad would ask both of them to write down one word that they believe contributed to their success. And so they both wrote down on a piece of paper, and then they showed it at the same time. And it was exactly what you said, Mindy, focus, and their ability to focus on certain items. And this is what I told to Janice, basically the day before Virtual Fitness Fest started 2 weeks ago, was that you just got to leave me alone. I just need this whole day. You can't bother me with any other items. You just got to let me work. I just need to knock out items. So focus, it's a big thing. It's a very big thing. So I know that some people we're getting close to that 4 p.m. Please start throwing some questions in the chat. We will be able to answer some questions for chat in here. But let's quickly go through this last question, because I really think it's a good one here, and a lot of great answers so far. So everybody, we're going to go through this quickly. Just give a quick response for this. So we're going to start with Samantha. Why do you think now is a good time for Fit Pros to go for it?
Now is a better time than any to jump in feet first, because the world is aware of the importance of healthy, active lifestyle more than they ever have been. People who were ignoring it before now understand that you have to be active if you wish to be healthy. Therefore, many people that would have been closed off to you before have their minds wide open, and they're ready to receive the guidance that you're willing to give.
I dig it. I dig it. Mindy? Where'd she go? Oh, there she is.
I was taking care of my puppy.
Okay.
Look.
Okay.
Say hello. Say hello. I'm sorry. He needs to go out, and I don't know where my husband is. See, my husband is, what is he doing? Having an orgasm? I don't know. Anyway. Okay, what was the question, Tyler? Oh, now is the best. Oh, yes, it's such a good time to be in the industry, but you know what? Not for the money. Not for the money. Do it because you love it. I mentor a lot of people, and it is very challenging. You need to be online. You need to be in person. You need to have an asset when you are not with them. So what can you provide for your students and your clients when you're not with them? So perhaps maybe online videos or something else. If your entire career is you have to be in front of somebody, you're not going to generate the income that you want to generate. You have to leave them with something. That's why I've created so many videos and books and all of that. But it's a great time to be in this industry, because it offers so much for so many. And I loved Samantha's answer about going out there and looking to see what is trending. And if that's your lane that you think that you belong in, and that's your space, we definitely need people. I mean, our obesity rate is through the roof. And people are getting older. That's also true.
Yeah.
And people are gaming. They're gaming, they're obese, and they're old. See? All at one time.
Jacquese, go ahead.
I all of that because that's what's happening. We have obesity. We have a big change in how, can you guys hear me? My thing just popped up that you couldn't. So we have a lot of opportunity now. And there's so many resources now. There is no excuses. This is the time to jump really strong, to get some momentum going, because so many fitness professionals are doing it. Getting the edge by getting that research, getting the edge by going to the place that you need to go to. But the time is now, because you can go online, because that we just had a pivot. Everybody did. But again, go outside of the norm. Don't just, like Mindy just said, you got to give people something more than just less. So you got to be in front of them. Like I'm starting to do my hiking trips now. I'm adding more to what I do. Add more to what you do. Give more value to what you do. Communicate. Give people, when people are in a class, if you're a personal training, if you're doing group instruction, 4% of the time, that's when they're with you. So what's happening that other time when they're not with you? You got to give them something for that time. Give them a reason to come back to you for that expert, ability, that boost, that innovativeness, that excitement, that empowerment. So that's my 2 cents, because everything you guys said, that's ditto, big time. So thank you.
That was $1, not 2 cents. That was a great dollar. I'm going to put that dollar in my pocket. I'm keeping it.
I dig it. I dig all the answers today. I really appreciate all the guests coming on. Really a great panel. And, this topic today, we covered so many items, and all of it just gems that anybody listening can take home with them, apply it immediately. So let's start going through the questions. If you want to unmute yourself, please feel free to ask a question. I think we got a lot of stuff in there. Maggie, can you go through it and bring up any of the questions?
Yes, it's actually towards the beginning. Someone asked, what do you think about mentorship programs like score.org? Are these legit? I don't know. I know Samantha responded she wasn't familiar, but maybe somebody else out there is.
Not familiar. And again, I say, if you're going to get a mentor, they have to have fruit. You have to know that they are an expert in their field. You can't just go to just anyone because you like them or you see what they're doing, you think they look cool. So that's my 2 cents on that.
Okay. Up at the very top, I'm not quite sure how this question reads. What year was this plant versus sausage? How did you market? Get the classes started at the boxing studio. Liability.
Did it have sausage in it?
Yes, it says plants versus sausage because they're trying to be politically correct.
Fine.
That's okay. I can understand, but I think that's partially, I think that's Mindy.
Mm-hmm.
Plants versus sausage. Well, plants are better than sausage. Sausage should be thrown in the garbage. Anything processed, anything that comes from an animal. And that's my 2 cents. Oh, when did Mindy start teaching? Thank you for asking that question, Julia. I started teaching in 1942. No, just kidding. I started teaching in the late, late 70s. Yes, a long time ago.
Yes, very. I'm just kidding.
Thanks, Tyler. Thanks, Tyler. Thanks, Tyler.
What else is in there?
Yes, Julie commented, the gambling industry is quite crazy and is growing each day. Gaming. Yes, if you have teenagers, you know all about the gaming. Tell me about it. Yes. And let's see. Lots of thanks. Call of Duty chair workouts. I'm not sure what that is.
Call of Duty is a game.
Okay. Workouts? Okay. Well, yeah, I guess it is.
I will say that I've come across a couple fitness professionals that try to emphasize that routines that quote unquote gamers do. I don't know much beyond that, but I do know that is an untapped area, just how Samantha said, a very untapped area. Millions of billions of dollars is fed into that industry. Huge. I mean, they're on, I believe, the regular ESPN, not like ESPN 8 or anything. They're on like regular ESPN these days. So it's a very big business.
Yeah.
Okay, and we'll go ahead, Sam.
I was going to say in China, especially the gaming and the, online gaming is huge. And a lot of the big brands now are investing into calling them the gaming athletes, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
They're even giving them the name tag of athletes. And I know as a company, we are jumping into the space to help get people active and keep their nutrition going well. And so I know that companies are pumping billions of dollars into this space. Like you said, it's on real lifetime ESPN. I've seen some of the insights that have come through in the studies for gaming. It doesn't just hit the youngsters in the Gen X, it goes all the way up to the baby boomer age. It's like a huge age group of people that are online, they're gaming, they're going to be sedentary, and all of us can jump in and help get them active for sure. So marketing to that audience, I think, would be a winning strategy for anyone.
It's a good one.
And I have one more for Jacquese. I saw liability pop up when there was a mention of teaching at the mall.
I'm not sure what that question is referencing, but if you do teach, you definitely want to get, they're asking about liability as far as teaching at the mall.
Yeah, I think so.
I have commercial insurance. So, I'm a business, and because I was leasing, I had to have commercial insurance. So basically, if you are independent and you're teaching, and if you have your own business, you absolutely have to have some insurance. You are going to be physically with people, that didn't make sense. You understand. If you are doing personal training, you are teaching people how to move, and there's different demographics, you definitely want to protect yourself. And I can tell you, I've been doing this for a while, nothing's happened, but you just don't know. So you don't take that for granted at all, and get your liability insurance. I'm going to say absolutely, unequivocally, please get that. Don't think, I'm okay, I know what I'm doing. No, we might know what we're doing, but we cannot control how someone is moving, and they may blame you. So you have to protect yourself.
And Jacquese, I'm right in saying it's not as expensive as people think it is. You can pick up a policy for just a couple of $100s. And if you take that extra step of naming the facility that you're working at as a secondary insured, doesn't cost any more money, you are doubly covered. So listen to Jacquese when she says get your insurance, because it's not as expensive as you think. And if you're teaching at a library, if you're teaching at a community center, wherever you're teaching, name them as the secondary insured on your policy, ask them beforehand, and you are doubly covered. So if anybody gets hurt, you are not going to be personally liable for that. It's definitely a little spent up front will save you a lot of pain in the long run. I've known trainers that didn't have insurance, and you can't predict when somebody's going to have a heart attack in your class, and it may not be your fault, but guess what? They're coming after you for their medical expenses unless you have insurance. So that's a huge one, Jacquese, for sure.
Very good one. And I will say that the common question that I'll say some entry-level trainers that they've asked me before is about, I'll say, starting an LLC or incorporating. And that's one of the ones that I went through early on in my career, because I tend to be an independent contractor for companies in the past instead of an employee. And I always look at those questions as a liability thing. Essentially, you're just putting more barriers between you, your business, and the client. So with liability, let's say hypothetically that you own a business that operates in a park, a boot camp, and let's say that you are not incorporated, you're not an LLC. What could happen if somebody injures himself, turns an ankle, whatever that might be, they could potentially go over your assets. When you incorporate, let's say an LLC, that's what I did, that essentially your LLC, if you set it up properly, that owns the business, and they can't go get after any of your personal items potentially if it's set up properly. So those are really the questions that I usually ask the person is, well, what do you want to protect? What type of liability is a part of your business? And I know that that's something that usually after a couple months of being in the industry, or especially if you're owning your own business or planning to, you tend to ask yourself that kind of stuff.
I don't see any other comments or questions. I think we've answered most of it.
Awesome.
You have.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, let's wrap it up then. If any other questions come in, I will stop talking right now. But other than that, thank you everybody for coming on, taking your time on this Friday, supporting Fitness Fest, especially when Janice isn't here. I will say that that was one of the things that I was worried about. Janice is gone. Nobody's going to come for me. But you guys came, you showed up, asked questions, all that good stuff, and really a good topic. So I appreciate it. Thank you, Maggie. Thank you. Thank you, Mindy. Thank you, Samantha. Thank you, Jacquese. Everybody for coming. Have a great rest of your Friday. Great weekend. And we'll see you on the next one.